Now please come up to sitting. And when you're in sitting, bring your hands into that same configuration of the arms being out at shoulder level, with your fingers curled in a light fist. And explore the movement, again, of rolling the right arm upward and the left arm downward, and feel what it's like in sitting. And do the movement a few times, and then pay attention to how you sit. So what are you doing with your legs? Have you got your legs organised in a way to allow more of you to be involved in the movement? So if you think a lot of the partner practices that you've been doing, you're having to organise yourself in sitting so that you can use your hands on your partner in an easy, comfortable way for both you and the partner. So what way could you sit to enable your pelvis to be free, to allow the spine and the ribs to be involved in the movement, so that the arms become lighter? And how can the pelvis roll? So how can you organise your legs to involve the pelvis? So there's a lot of people sitting symmetrically. There's some people sitting in side sitting and some other variations. So see what happens if you sit in side sitting, if that assists the movement. So bring your arms down if they're getting tired and just pause in sitting. And then come back and see how you could sit in side sitting. Which way would the legs be orientated? Where would you have your knees? Would your knees be facing toward the right or toward the left, to make this movement lighter and easier? So the arms are going upward, so the right arm is going upward and the left arm is going downward. So the same as you were doing on the floor. Okay, and then leave it and lie down. And as you lie there, just think through the movement that you were doing in sitting and how you had explored the movement of your legs, and rehearse the movement in your mind in terms of the relationship of the legs and how that could allow the pelvis to move more freely, the ribs and the spine, and how the arms would turn, the right arm up and the left one down, and include what you would do with your head. Now slowly roll over and come back up to sitting. And once again explore how you would do this movement with the arms in sitting. So the right arm is rolling up and the left arm is rolling down. And now, for those of you who aren't sitting in side sitting, if it's comfortable, come to side sitting with your knees pointing toward the right and your feet toward the left. And see if that position is going to enable more movement around the ribs and the torso. And involve your head in the movement. See what you'd like to do with your head. So would you turn the head toward the right as the right arm rolls upward? Or would you do something else? And is there much happening in your chest? So your arms and their orientation, they're out to your side and your torso is facing the front, so you're facing over your legs and the arms are moving, rolling upward and down. Right arm up, left arm down. And then let it go and lie down on your backs and feel what difference that's made to how you're lying. So there might be a difference now that you sense between the two sides. But more particularly, tune in and feel how your two shoulder blades are lying against the floor, how your shoulders are lying. And if there's a different sense of connection with how the arms connect into that upper part of your body. And bend your knees and bring your feet to standing. And bring your arms out once more to shoulder level. And make a small fist with your hands and continue the movement of the arm, rolling the right arm upwards and the left arm downwards, and notice if that exploration in sitting has somehow enriched your experience of doing the movement in lying. And if you are able to involve any more of yourself within the movement, and notice what your legs are doing. So think of that connection of the leg up through the torso to the arm. And as you do that movement, feel if you push through the left foot as part of organising your legs. And then just pause briefly and lengthen your right leg. And continue to do the movement with the left foot, feeling how you could push through the left foot and how that might allow the pelvis to move in a certain direction, which will cause a twisting movement of the torso and the spine, and up into the arm. And again, observe where you've placed your foot. So, again, thinking back of the ATM that you did yesterday, remember how you did that portion where you had a partner and one of you found the organisation where you could sit on the partner's knee and it was solid, so that the foot was placed to provide a good foundation, which allowed both somebody to sit on the knee, but also which meant that the pelvis had a freedom of movement. So again, you might like to explore the organisation of your legs and move the foot a little bit towards yourself if it's far out to the side. Now think of the foot can move sideways more into your midline, or if it's very much into your midline, you might want to move it a little bit away. And it can move in relationship to the closeness of your pelvis. So continue exploring the movement of pushing through the foot and the rolling of the right hand upward. And allow the head to participate. So allow the head to roll. So for the moment, it's just the right arm that's moving upward and the left arm is moving downward. And then you reverse it and you repeat the movement. And feel what your head wants to do. Does your head feel like turning to look at the right hand as it rolls upward? So it's just the one direction with the arms. And if you've been rolling the head in a different direction, feel how it is now to roll the head as the right arm rolls up, that you're going to roll the head toward the right. And how does that affect the movement? And notice the sequence of the movement. So we've been talking this week about the timing, orientation and manipulation. So where does your sequence of the movement start? Does it start at the foot? Or do you start it by rolling the head or the arm? And what is the timing between the different parts as you do the movement? And then pause, find a way of bringing your arms down to your side and lengthening the leg. And now, having done the movements predominantly in one direction, how has that affected how you're lying? Do you experience a difference between the two arms? Is one feeling longer? Or do you feel more on one side of your body? Have you got more contact with the floor and the ribs on one side, or the shoulder blade? So if you particularly hone your attention to your two shoulder blades, does one feel like it's lighter with the floor than the other? or does one feel like it's pressing into the floor more? Or they may feel very similar. So now we're going to start to explore the other side. So what I'd like you to do before we do that is, as you know the movement of rolling of the arm, the right arm upward and the left arm down, again rehearse the movement, this time of rolling the left arm upward and the right arm downward. And see if you can think it through in your mind, thinking through which foot would you press through to do the movement, which way would your head roll. And then start to explore that movement. And as you're exploring it, you can notice how you've chosen to organise your legs or your leg. So how could you position your legs so that the movement, so that you bring more of yourself to the movement? So instead of the movement being purely of rolling the left arm upward and the right arm downward, how can your shoulder girdle be involved, your chest, the ribs, the pelvis? How do you need to organise your legs to do that? And if you haven't started bringing the movement into action, then do so. So most people have chosen to have the left leg long and the right knee up toward the ceiling and the foot in standing. So if you haven't got that configuration, see what it's like when you do that. How could you press through the right foot as the left arm rolls upward and the right arm rolls downward? And again here, feel where your head wants to move. Where does the head want to roll? And is this side organised in a different way for you than the other side? And feel where you've placed the foot, and notice what's happening in that middle part of you. You know, what is the connection of pressing through the right foot to the left shoulder blade and the left arm? So you can use the legs, or in this case, the right leg, to assist in the movement so that the arms can be freer, lighter, easier. And then let it go and take a rest. And again, listen to the effect those movements have had on how you're lying. So please now bend both of your knees and bring your feet to standing and bring both of your arms out to shoulder level. And now you're going to do the movement so that the right arm rolls upward and the left arm rolls downward. And then you're going to continue the movement so the right arm will roll down and the left arm will roll up. So you're alternating between the arms rolling upward and downward. And again, how much of your attention goes to the arms and how much of your attention goes to how you can use the legs and the pelvis and the head to assist you with the movement. And feel, where does the head roll? And does this movement remind you of anything? So as you roll your arm upward, can you feel the head rolling toward the arm or the hand that is rolling up? So we're going to keep doing the movement, and later in the lesson you get to explore the same movement in a variety of positions. And Feldenkrais talks about this movement being used in fencing. So if you were thinking that you had a sword in your hand, how would that, and you're going to sort of reach out to someone with the sword, how does that affect how you do the movement? And then leave it, take another rest. And feel the length of your spine in the lesson. So feel the length of the spine as you're lying there, your length of your spine. So Feldenkrais talked a lot as he gave this lesson, how this lesson would be beneficial to someone with a scoliosis. And he uses the example of if a piece of wire has got a bend in it, of how you could lengthen that piece of wire. And you could do it either by two people holding the ends of the wire and exerting a lot of force and pulling it. You could have a blacksmith that has to heat up the wire and hammer it in a very specific way. Or you could lengthen the piece of wire by having two people holding onto it and twisting it. So in this lesson it's about twisting and lengthening the spine. And now feel your chest, your shoulder girdle, and how your arms are lying on the floor. And we're going to come back up to sitting. So please find a way to roll over and come up to sitting. And your arms are out by your side when you're sitting, out at shoulder level with the hands in a fist. And now you're going to continue the movement of rolling one arm up and one arm down. And you're going to explore how do you use your legs to make the movement of the arms easier. So what are you going to do with the legs? So the legs are going to affect the movement differently if you're moving the right arm up or the left arm up. So you may have to explore how you would move the legs as you do the movement from side to side. So is it possible, some people are exploring the movement of being in side sitting and flopping the legs from one side to the other as they roll the arm up. So as they roll the right arm up, the knees in side sitting toward the right. And then as the left arm rolls upward and the right arm downward, the knees are in side sitting toward the left. So think back of some of the other lessons that we've done during the week of moving the legs and side sitting from side to side. So people are doing it in different ways. Some people leaving their feet on the floor. Some people are bringing the feet up. And then, as a reminder, come up to standing. So you're going to come to standing and have your knees spread. And recall the movement that you did that whole series of rolling from your back up to side sitting to standing, of how you came from standing, how you just flopped your legs to the side and came to sitting. So direct your right arm to the side and see how you can again just come into side sitting and so not worrying about the arms at the moment, you're just coming from standing and you're going back to the lesson that you did of where you were standing and you came to sitting with your legs on the side, how you flopped your legs onto the side. So you have to think of where you place the hand. And how you can just allow the knees to bend and then the legs flop onto the side. And then how can you go from side to side? How much do you have to stand up to flop your legs once to the right and once to the left? Do you have to stand up, or can you stay sitting and just take your legs from side to side? And now include the movement of your arms. So bring your arms out at shoulder level. And rolling the arms, one going up and one going down. And moving the legs. And again, think of where your head, like what happens with the head. And do you find yourself sort of creeping along the floor, along your mat? So if you come to the front of your mat, then move back and do it. And why do you do that? What's happening in your organisation that means that you come forward on the mat? And I mean, I did the same thing as I was doing the ATM, and I was particularly determined in my very non-Feldenkrais-like way to try and stay in the one position when Feldenkrais said, you move forward because there's a lack of suppleness in your spine. So I thought, my spine's supple, I'm going to stay here. But I didn't. So have a lie down. we're going to change position. So please come to standing on your left knee and your right foot. And whatever that means for you. So you're standing on your left knee and on your right foot. And in this position, where would you like to put your hands? So would one, just explore, does one arm move behind you and one arm in front of you? So would your right arm come forward over your right knee? Try that, bring the right arm forward. Your arms are at shoulder level, but the right arm's going to be forward over the right knee and the left arm somewhere behind you. And then try the opposite. And go backwards and forwards and feel which feels more logical to you, or which maybe logical, or which feels like you could move more readily in that position. And some people have already started, by the look of it, to have the right arm forward. So leave the right arm forward and have the left arm behind you and begin to do the movement of rolling one arm up and one arm down, and notice where you look with your head as you do the movement. So the right arm is up in front of you, your hands are still in a fist, and you're rolling the right arm forward, upward, and the left arm hand downward. And then you're alternating. And think of fencing. I don't know if any of you used to watch those. I think during the night of movies where there was fencing, and the Three Musketeers came to my mind, Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, I know. And the third one was Zorro. Imagine you've got a foil in your hand, and there's either something that you want to pierce. Maybe it's a target. Maybe it's an enemy. And how could you organise yourself with your legs and your whole body to do that movement? And again, you might want to change the position of your knees a bit. So, find the optimal place for you to have your legs so you can really use them to enable you to do this action of fencing. And naturally, when you've done enough, feel free to take a rest on your backs. And feel how it is now that you're lying. Feel the contact of your two shoulder blades. And see if you can draw in your mind what's happening in your chest. So where your clavicles are, how the arms are resting. So now we're going to change the movement of the arms. So we're going to leave fencing behind, and we're going to go back to the movement of the arms that you did with Stephanie yesterday. But we're going to start off by exploring how you could do that movement, which is rolling the arms either both in an upward direction or a downward direction. But we're going to explore it in that position of being on your left knee and on your right foot. So find a way to come back up into that position. so that you're standing on your left knee and on your right foot. And to start with, just bring your arms in a position where what I'd like you to explore is which fist could you bring to the ground? Would you bring your right fist to the ground between your legs and the left arm up? Or would you bring the left fist to the ground and the right arm up toward the ceiling? So see which hand can you take down to the floor, which feels more comfortable to you. Sorry? Yeah, you just got your hands lightly, fingers curled, and the arms are straight, and you're once seeing what it's like to have the left fist on the floor and the right arm up toward the ceiling, and then the right fist to the floor and the left fist up. And for most of you, I imagine it would be more comfortable to have the right hand down on the floor and the left one up. If it's the left, well, it's interesting because I did the left, and he says if it's the left, you must likely have a scoliosis because of the twisting of your spine. But remember, your hand, when it's down on the floor, it's in between your legs. If you're bringing your left hand down, it doesn't go to the outside of your right leg. So then, bring your right hand down toward the floor and the left arm up toward the ceiling, and see if you can roll your arms in the same direction, so that, by that I mean that either the arms are rolling downward or upward. How would you organise yourself to do that movement? So your hand's not going to be on the floor now. It's away from the floor, but it's toward the floor, and you're exploring how you could roll both arms in the same direction. Simultaneously, no? Together. So not the movement of the first part of this lesson, but more of the movement that you explored yesterday with Stephanie. Okay. And then leave it and take a rest on your backs. And feel how you're lying and your orientation with yourself and with the room. And bend your knees, bring the feet to the floor, bring your arms out to shoulder level. And now you're going to roll both arms downward, and as you do, you're going to bring your head away from the floor to look between your knees and feel what occurs in your chest and in your torso to do that movement. So the arms roll downward and the head comes away from the floor. And feel what happens in your chest, how the chest, parts of you are going to press more into the floor. Your shoulders may come away from the floor and your front of you is folding or becoming shorter and the back of you is lengthening. And then pause. And now think of rolling both arms upward and feel what can you do to your shoulder girdle and chest to help you or assist you with the movement of the arms rolling up. what happens to the head? And feel the movement across your shoulders and shoulder blades. And then leave it. And come up to standing on both knees. So you're going to be standing on both of your knees, and your arms are going to be out at shoulder level. So this is a bit of an auxiliary movement before we go back to being on one knee and one foot. So standing on your knees, your arms are out at shoulder level, and you're going to roll your arms downward and bring your head down to look toward the floor and feel how your head is forward, and then roll your arms upward and look up toward the ceiling. And explore how can you use your back, your pelvis to assist the movement of the arms. So as the arms roll downward, feel how you round your back, your pelvis, and as you roll the arms upward, get a sense of more of an extension in your back and pelvis. And then pause in whichever position you like. And then return to being standing on one knee and on your right foot, on your left knee and on your right foot. And now you're going back to having the right arm in a downward direction toward the floor and the left arm up toward the ceiling. And explore that movement that you've just been doing, both arms rolling simultaneously. And feel how can you use your pelvis, your head and your spine to do the movement. So do you mainly move from the arms, or can you really allow your head and your trunk to be involved? So as the arms roll together in a downward direction, think of rounding your back, allowing the head to come forward, and then looking upward and extending your spine and your pelvis as you come up. And you can play a little, you don't have to be, when I say your right arm is downward, it doesn't have to be on the floor, but it's in that direction. So find where can you have the arm that makes it easy to do. Yeah, look, I think that's pretty difficult. So have them where, where it's comfortable. And explore it a little bit more if you like. If you've had enough, lie on your backs and take a rest. And now feel your contact with the floor. And have you got any more clarity of your shoulder girdle? Can you have a better sense of the two shoulder blades, their shape, how they're pressing against the floor, and possibly of the two clavicles? And feel how your arms connect up through the shoulder into the shoulder girdle and torso. And then bring your arms one more time out to shoulder level. And for the sake of curiosity, do a few movements where, first of all, you're alternating the rolling of your hands from one moving up, one moving down. And as you do the movement, feel if there's more, if you can feel more of what's happening centrally. And then you could do a few movements of just both arms rolling downward and upward. And again, just sense what happens across that upper part of your chest. And then leave it, bring your arms down to your side, and slowly make the transition into sitting and back up to standing. And when you're standing, feel now your relationship with the floor. Do you feel taller, shorter, lighter, heavier with the floor? And before you walk around the room, again do a few of those movements of reaching with your arm, right and left arm, in different directions, and see how the lesson's influenced how you do that. You can notice the ease of the movement. Do you involve more of yourself as you're reaching? And then start having a walk round and feel as you're walking how the arms are moving, if you can feel the relationship of the arms with your legs, the length of your spine. And you notice movement of your two scapula. And then I'll pass you over to Stephanie.
So gather in a group of 4 with 3 other people. Find a space for yourself in the room. Now, in that lesson, there were many variations. So in this process, 2 people will observe and 2 people will explore moving in a variation from that lesson. And the lens that I'd like you to observe with is, how do they shift their weight? How does their weight shift in relationship to the ground? Do you have any sense of where they initiate the movement from? And what's involved? So how much of themselves is participating in the action? So one pair will do the same movement. You can choose who chooses it. The pair that's doing chooses what variation they'd like to do to observe. The observers, after you've observed the movement several times, asking those questions about weight, how are they using the ground, how is their weight shifting, where do they initiate the movement from, and what's involved, how is the movement distributed through them. You can rotate, choose a different variation, and swap roles. Oh, sorry, I meant to add, you can use your hands. If you want more information, use your hands. All right? Then you swap roles, do another variation. a different variation, because there are many orientations and many options for variations. Okay? You're going to probably get 2 changes. So each pair will do 2 variations, but you'll alternate. Okay?